Hi, everyone. We're moving to the second chapter of Mishlei, of the book of Proverbs. And the second chapter begins this way. B'ni im tikach amarai umitzvotai titzpon itach, lakshiv lachochma oznecha, tatel libcha latfuna. It says, my son, if you accept my words and treasure up my commandments, if you make your ear attentive to wisdom and your mind open to discernment. It will go on, and of course, it is speaking well of the importance of bringing in wisdom and taking wisdom in, but it does so in an interesting way. Not so surprising, but it's the kind of advice that I think is always worthwhile. That second verse, it says, if you make your ear attentive to wisdom and your mind open to discernment. So your ear is on the outside, and your mind is on the inside. Your heart, actually, it talks about your heart, which traditionally was seen as the place where your thinking was done, actually. But in any case, it goes. The wisdom is out there, and it goes in the ear, and then it has to penetrate into our mind, and then eventually, of course, has to come out through our actions. But I think that the idea that there's a difference, of course, between the hearing and the really taking it in is something that we're familiar with. We know that there's a difference between listening and really hearing. We know that we can be, whether it's in the lecture or listening in a conversation to someone, and sometimes it's called to our attention, and sometimes we realize on our own that even though we've heard, we haven't actually been listening. Wisdom in this case is reminding us that there's that difference and encouraging us to do both parts, to listen and pay attention to wisdom, and then to take it in so that it really becomes part of who we are. This two-step process is important, and it's important to remind ourselves, maybe especially when we're feeling particularly distracted, that whether it's hearing or whether it's seeing, reading something or watching something, that there is a two-part process, the sort of physical taking it in, and then there's a process of let's say, filtering it, of considering it. And then, as I say, that next step would be, once it's a part of us, the question will be, how do we make it live? How does it live in our own lives, in the decisions we make, and in our actions? So as we begin chapter 2, I hope that you will both take in the wisdom of Mishlei, of Proverbs, and then find ways, specific ways, that the wisdom of the Tanakh, of our Bible, will be able to live in your life. This coming Shabbat is Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembering. It is always the Shabbat that precedes Purim, which is next week. And we also will begin the book of Leviticus. We'll be reading that first parsha of the book of Leviticus. I hope you have a good Shabbat.